Today, you will discover simple, affordable ways to enjoy orange, together with a fascinating and honest story about orange for eye health. Thank you for giving this subject your time. In the part ahead, easy recipes and practical ideas appear naturally alongside real knowledge about the benefits of orange, the remarkable history of this cheerful fruit, and the genuine ways its nutrients relate to the eyes and to a varied, colorful diet. Every idea here is affordable, simple, and realistic, the kind of small habit that fits comfortably into an ordinary kitchen in an ordinary day. Few foods carry a reputation quite like this one. Say the word orange, and vitamin C comes to mind almost instantly, an association built on real and substantial nutrition. A single orange offers a generous share of vitamin C, often covering a large part of what many adults look for in a day from just one piece of fruit. That reputation is well earned, and it turns out to matter for the eyes in ways genuinely worth knowing. In a moment, the surprising place where the body keeps so much of this vitamin becomes clear, and it sits closer to the eyes than most people would expect. Before exploring that connection, here is one of the simplest ways to enjoy orange, one many people already know instinctively. A single medium orange, roughly 130 grams once peeled, makes a complete and satisfying snack exactly as it is. Separating it into its natural segments and enjoying it slowly, together with as much of the soft white layer beneath the peel as feels pleasant, keeps its fiber and a good share of its gentler plant compounds intact. This simple habit fits comfortably several times a week at almost any hour and asks for little more than clean hands and a little patience with the peel. It is a small, affordable, and thoroughly honest way to bring real nourishment and a touch of natural sweetness into an ordinary day, keeping every part of the fruit's goodness working together, including the very vitamin C the eyes rely on so heavily. That reliance is worth explaining clearly, because it is one of the loveliest surprises in all of nutrition. The eye gathers and holds vitamin C in remarkably high concentrations, far higher than the levels typically found in the blood. The clear fluid at the front of the eye and the living lens itself are especially rich in this nutrient, as though the body has chosen to keep an extra reserve exactly where the eye works hardest with light. This is one of the clearest and most honest reasons that orange and eye health belong in the same conversation, and it rests on genuine, well-understood nutrition rather than a hopeful guess. Vitamin C carries one more graceful trick that makes it especially valuable. It helps refresh and renew other antioxidants once they have done their work, rather like a helpful friend who tidies up so everyone can begin again. In this way, the vitamin C in a bright orange supports a whole team of protective compounds working together throughout the body, including in the hardworking tissues of the eyes. One familiar nutrient, quietly supporting many others, is a lovely picture of how nutrition truly works. Over a lifetime, this kind of steady renewal matters more than it might first appear. The eyes work with light every day for many decades, and a diet consistently supplied with vitamin C offers exactly the sort of patient, long-term support such faithful tissues deserve. This is one more reason a familiar, affordable fruit like orange earns a comfortable place in a thoughtful routine, contributing its bright share to the body's quiet, ongoing care, one glass and one segment at a time. There is a second reason vitamin C matters so deeply for the eyes, and it involves the very structure of sight. Much of the eye is built from collagen, a strong, flexible material that gives its tissues their shape and clarity. The clear front window of the eye, called the cornea, is made largely of finely arranged collagen, and the body depends on vitamin C to build and maintain it. So the vitamin C carried so generously in orange contributes to the very framework that keeps the surface of the eye smooth, clear, and resilient. A cheerful, familiar fruit quietly connected to the architecture of sight. To truly appreciate what the eyes accomplish, picture each one as a small living camera, working faithfully through every hour of daylight and beyond. At the front, that clear, collagen-rich window gathers incoming light. Just behind it, a soft, flexible lens bends and focuses that light, adjusting constantly as attention shifts from something far away to something held close. At the very back waits a delicate, light-sensitive screen called the retina, layered with millions of specialized cells that turn light into the images experienced as sight. Every part of this remarkable instrument is living tissue, bathed in fluid and fed by a fine network of blood vessels. Deep within that retina live two remarkable kinds of light-sensing cells, each with its own gift. One kind handles bright light and rich color, offering the vivid detail of a sunny afternoon. The other is exquisitely sensitive to dim light, helping the eyes find their way in the soft glow of evening or under a quiet moon. Both kinds work through every waking hour, and such constant energetic work naturally calls for steady nourishment. One more reason a diet rich in vitamin C and colorful plant foods supports the eyes so faithfully. There is something rather poetic in how this mirrors an ordinary day. Bright, detailed vision serves the busy hours of morning and afternoon, while the eye's quieter, dimmer light vision takes over as evening settles in. Exactly the shift many people notice when a well-lit room slowly softens toward dusk. Supporting both kinds of vision simply means supporting the whole eye, consistently across the whole day, which is precisely what a varied, colorful diet does best. This is a good moment to explore a second simple way to enjoy orange: fresh orange juice pressed at home. 2 to 3 oranges typically yield around 150 to 200 milliliters, a comfortable glass for one sitting. Because juice concentrates the fruit's natural sugars while leaving much of the fiber behind in the peel and pulp, many people find it gentler and more pleasant, diluted with an equal measure of water, especially when enjoyed alongside breakfast rather than on its own. For anyone whose stomach prefers an even softer start to the day, diluting further to roughly 1 part juice and 2 parts water keeps the same bright vitamin C in a gentler, more comfortable form. Whole orange and fresh orange juice each offer something worthwhile in their own way. The whole fruit keeps its fiber, supporting comfortable digestion and a steady release of its natural sugars. The juice offers a lighter, more concentrated form of vitamin C and other water-soluble nutrients, wonderfully convenient on a busy morning. A comfortable rhythm might include the whole fruit most days, with a fresh glass of juice a few times a week, always alongside food rather than in place of it, and with a little plain water nearby simply as a matter of comfort. This kind of gentle, varied rhythm suits most people well for as long as it remains an easy, enjoyable part of daily life. A gentle rule of thumb helps here, and it applies to nearly every idea in this story. Fruit enjoyed alongside a meal, rather than on an empty stomach or very late in the evening, tends to sit most comfortably and pace its natural sugars most gently. This is simply a gentle comfort more than a strict requirement, and it is exactly why breakfast, with its natural pairing of fruit and other food, has long been such a welcoming home for orange. Freshness matters here in a very practical way. Vitamin C is a lively nutrient that gradually fades with time, air, and heat. So juice pressed at home and enjoyed soon after tends to carry noticeably more of it than juice that has traveled far or sat for a long while before reaching a glass. This is simply one more reason a fresh, home-prepared glass feels worth the small extra effort whenever it is convenient. Consider, too, how much light and oxygen the eyes handle across a single day, from the first soft glow of morning through bright afternoons to the gentle glow of evening screens. All that light is a gift, the very thing that makes sight possible, yet working constantly with light and oxygen produces a little natural wear along the way, much like a busy, well-loved kitchen gathers crumbs and welcomes a gentle daily tidy. This is exactly why the eye keeps such a generous store of vitamin C, and why bright, colorful, vitamin-rich foods feel so at home in a routine built around healthy eyes. Orange, with its remarkable vitamin C content, is one of the most cheerful contributors to this quiet daily housekeeping. This gentle, ongoing care matters, especially in modern life, with so many hours spent looking at close, bright screens. A diet consistently rich in antioxidants, gathered from fresh, colorful foods across many years, offers exactly the kind of patient, long-term support such hard-working tissues deserve. Orange, enjoyed regularly rather than only occasionally, contributes its cheerful share to that lifelong care, one bright glass or one simple snack at a time. There is a gentle side benefit worth mentioning here, too. Orange is close to 87% water, which makes it a pleasantly hydrating fruit alongside everything else it offers. The surface of the eye depends on a steady film of moisture refreshed with every blink, and a body that stays comfortably hydrated helps keep that film even and clear. So, a simple orange enjoyed as a snack or blended into a fresh drink supports the eyes in this small, quiet way as well, alongside its better-known vitamin C. Orange carries a few more quiet gifts worth knowing. It offers a reasonable share of folate, one of the gentle building blocks the body uses to keep cells renewed and healthy, and a comfortable amount of potassium, a friendly mineral that helps the body keep its fluids in graceful balance. Neither nutrient arrives in dramatic amounts, and that is part of orange's honest character. A small, steady handful of everyday nourishment, rather than a single spectacular one, folded into a fruit people already enjoy quite naturally, convincing on its own merits. Vitamin C has also long been associated with the body's general sense of wellness and vitality, supporting the immune system's everyday, ongoing work alongside everything else it does. This broader reputation is part of why orange has felt like such a comforting, sensible choice across so many generations, a fruit trusted for the whole body rather than for any single narrow purpose, with the eyes simply one grateful beneficiary among many. Here is a colorful and genuinely useful pairing worth trying. A simple blend of one orange and one medium carrot, whether juiced, blended, or simply enjoyed together as a snack of segments and sticks. This brings orange's vitamin C together with the deep orange pigments found in carrot, two classic foods long associated with eye-supporting nutrition, in one cheerful, naturally sweet combination. Enjoying it alongside a small handful of walnuts or almonds or a spoonful of plain yogurt adds a touch of healthy fat that helps the body take up fat-soluble plant pigments more readily. A few times a week, in the morning or as an afternoon lift, this pairing turns two ordinary, affordable foods into a genuinely thoughtful choice for the eyes. Here is something that deserves a moment of real attention, because it changes how many people think about this familiar fruit. That warm, glowing color carries real meaning beyond simple decoration. It comes from a family of natural plant pigments called carotenoids, and the leading one in orange carries a name worth knowing, beta-cryptoxanthin. This pigment belongs to a special group the body can gently convert into vitamin A, in much the same way it works with the more famous beta-carotene found in carrots and pumpkins. So, the very color that gives orange its name is also a genuine, if gentler, thread connecting this fruit to the story of healthy vision. Vitamin A sits at the very center of normal vision. Deep within the retina, it becomes part of the machinery that captures faint light, the very process that helps the eyes adjust when daylight fades into evening. Orange offers this pathway in a modest, honest amount rather than a dramatic one, well below the concentration found in deeply orange root vegetables, yet a genuine and welcome contributor within a colorful, varied diet. Alongside beta-cryptoxanthin, orange carries small traces of a few related plant pigments, a gentle reminder that even a familiar breakfast fruit holds more complexity than its simple sweetness suggests. It helps to know that this kind of nourishment gathers gradually rather than all at once. The body builds its store of these plant pigments gradually across weeks and months of steady, colorful eating rather than from any single fruit or single day. This is freeing rather than demanding because it means an occasional orange and an occasional lapse both matter far less than the gentle, repeated habit of reaching for colorful food across an ordinary week. That small central region of the retina, often called the macula, deserves a moment of admiration of its own. It is the size of a mere speck, yet it delivers the sharp, detailed vision used to read a page, recognize a familiar face, and thread the fine tasks of daily life. Because it works so hard and receives so much light, the body guards it with golden pigments gathered patiently from food across many years. Orange adds its own gentle note to that lifelong gathering, best appreciated alongside the deeper leafy greens where those particular pigments concentrate most richly. It is worth pausing to see how neatly these gifts fit together so far. Vitamin C helps build and protect the eye's own clear structures. Beta-cryptosanthin offers a gentle path toward vitamin A and the machinery of night vision. Two different compounds, one familiar fruit, each quietly reinforcing a different part of the same remarkable system, which is precisely the kind of everyday teamwork that good nutrition is built from. It is worth being clear and warm about where orange truly stands among foods for the eyes. The deepest, most concentrated sources of the golden pigments most closely tied to the retina's central vision, lutein and zeaxanthin, live in deep leafy greens and a handful of other vividly colored vegetables. Orange's own gift is different, and just as worthwhile in its own right. Remarkable vitamin C, a genuine share of provitamin A through beta-cryptosanthin, and a naturally cheerful way to make colorful eating something to look forward to. Understood honestly, orange becomes a valuable everyday part of natural foods for eye health, one bright thread woven through a nourishing, varied plate, working best alongside the deeply colored greens and vegetables it so happily complements. One small, easy habit makes use of a part of the fruit many people overlook entirely: the colorful outer peel. A single teaspoon of freshly grated zest taken only from the bright, fragrant outer layer of a well-washed orange, stirred into a bowl of plain yogurt, a pot of oatmeal, or a simple salad dressing, adds a burst of aroma along with a concentrated share of the fruit's most interesting plant compounds. Because the zest is so potent, a small amount goes a long way and it keeps beautifully for a couple of weeks in a sealed container in the refrigerator, or far longer once dried. This one small spoonful captures a part of the orange most people quietly discard at almost zero extra cost and barely any extra effort. That colorful peel holds one more genuine treasure worth knowing, and it lives mostly in the parts so often set aside: the peel, the white layer just beneath it, and the thin membranes between the segments. There, oranges carry a natural plant compound called hesperidin, a flavonoid long associated with the health and flexibility of blood vessels. This matters for the eyes in a very direct way because healthy vision depends on a fine, delicate network of tiny blood vessels carrying oxygen and nourishment to the busy tissue at the back of the eye. Foods that support strong, resilient vessels are, in a real and honest sense, foods that support the eyes, and hesperidin belongs to that helpful family. Picture those vessels for a moment. Some of them so fine and delicate they are almost too small to imagine, threading nourishment into the busy tissues at the back of the eye. When these vessels stay strong and flexible, they carry oxygen and nourishment with ease, supporting the tireless work happening inside the retina every waking moment. A compound like hesperidin quietly supporting that flexibility offers the eyes a gentle kindness that has little to do with vitamins at all, and everything to do with keeping the body's finest passages in good working order. This is a wonderful reason to treasure the whole orange rather than the juice alone, Fresh juice, especially when strained, leaves much of this hesperidin behind in the parts left over, while the whole fruit, enjoyed with its inner white layer and its delicate membranes intact, carries far more of this vessel-friendly compound along for the ride. Neither form is wrong, and both have a comfortable place in a varied week. Yet, knowing this small distinction helps explain why whole fruit so often earns its reputation as the more complete choice for anyone thinking about orange for eyesight and long-term vessel health. There is a comforting, low-key way to use that same fragrant peel entirely on its own. A few strips of peel from half a well-washed orange, roughly 5 grams, steeped in a cup of hot water for 5 to 10 minutes, makes a warm aromatic infusion naturally free of any strong flavor demands. Many people enjoy this gently, once a day in the morning to begin the day on a bright note, or in the evening as a calming, low-key ritual before rest. It costs nothing beyond a peel that might otherwise be discarded, and it offers a soft, easy way to bring a little more of the orange's fragrant, flavonoid-rich peel into daily life. The story of how this cheerful fruit reached kitchens everywhere is a small documentary in itself. The sweet orange enjoyed today is widely believed to have first arisen in Southeast Asia, likely in the region that is now southern China, as a natural cross between two other citrus ancestors, the mandarin and the pomelo. Cultivated with care across many centuries in that part of the world, oranges slowly became sweeter, juicier, and easier to peel, shaped gently by generations of attentive growers long before the fruit ever traveled beyond its original home. From there, citrus fruits began a long, slow journey westward. Traders carried early citrus varieties through the Middle East and into the Mediterranean world roughly 1,000 years ago. First, the more sour, bitter kinds, prized as much for their fragrant peel as for their tart juice. The sweeter orange familiar today followed later, arriving in Europe through Portuguese trading routes several centuries afterward, and it was treasured immediately as a rare and delightful luxury. In fact, the fruit was so closely tied to its vivid color that English speakers eventually borrowed its very name for the color itself, rather than the other way around, a small linguistic fact that still surprises many people today. That sense of luxury reached a memorable peak in parts of Europe where wealthy households built entire glass-walled rooms known as orangeries, purely to keep orange trees alive and fruiting through cold winters. A warm fruit from distant sunlit lands became for a time a living symbol of comfort, wealth, and the human wish to hold on to summer a little longer. It is a lovely image, a small, cheerful fruit important enough to shape entire buildings around its comfort. There is a charming culinary thread woven through this same history, tied once again to the peel. Many food historians trace the tradition of orange marmalade back to European households that discovered how beautifully the whole fruit, peel included, could be preserved in sugar for the colder months ahead. British kitchens in particular embrace this practice, using the more bitter Seville orange, turning a fruit that might otherwise be set aside into a bright, long-lasting favorite for the breakfast table. It stands as an early practical example of exactly the idea explored here, that the peel of an orange has always carried real value, long before anyone understood the word hesperidine. Later, around 500 years ago, Spanish and Portuguese explorers carried orange seeds across the ocean to the Americas, where the warm climates of places like Florida and Brazil proved wonderfully suited to citrus growing. Today, those regions, together with Spain and a handful of other warm growing areas, remain among the most important sources of oranges in the entire world. A small hybrid fruit from a distant coastline in Asia became, over many centuries, one of the most beloved and widely grown fruits on the planet. Its story kept unfolding into far more recent times as well. In the 20th century, fresh orange juice became closely associated with the breakfast table across much of North America and beyond. A modern chapter made possible as advances in transportation and refrigeration allowed citrus to travel further and arrive fresher than ever before. What began as a rare, treasured luxury carried across oceans eventually became an everyday morning habit for millions of households, keeping every bit of the genuine nourishment that made it so treasured in the first place. A particularly useful combination worth trying at home blends 1 orange, a generous handful of fresh spinach, roughly 30 grams, and half a ripe banana, combined together with a little water or milk until smooth. This brings orange's vitamin C together with the golden and green pigments naturally found in spinach, including a gentle presence of lutein and zeaxanthin. The very compounds the retina's central vision treasures most. There is a genuinely useful bonus here as well. Vitamin C helps the body absorb the iron naturally found in leafy greens like spinach far more efficiently. So this bright, simple combination helps its 2 main ingredients support each other. A comfortable breakfast or midday choice, it fits easily into a routine a few times a week, and freezing the banana beforehand makes the texture especially creamy. For anyone whose digestion prefers a gentler start, using a smaller handful of spinach or a fully ripe banana keeps the same bright combination easy and comfortable to enjoy. Across cultures, oranges gathered their own rich layer of folk, meaning quite separate from anything modern nutrition has measured. In Chinese tradition and across much of East Asia, oranges and their close relatives are exchanged as gifts during the Lunar New Year, symbols of good fortune, prosperity, and a bright start to the year ahead. A custom tied to the way certain words for the fruit sound similar to words for luck in some dialects. In parts of the Mediterranean, the fragrant white blossoms of the orange tree became woven into wedding customs, worn or carried as a symbol of purity, happiness, and new beginnings, a tradition still recognized in bridal fashion today. Those same fragrant blossoms carried their appeal well beyond weddings. For centuries, perfumers have prized the essence of orange blossom for its soft, sweet fragrance, distilling it into scents still cherished today, a lovely reminder that this generous tree offers gifts through its flowers as well as its fruit. It is worth noting that this fragrant essence belongs to the world of perfume rather than the kitchen, a fitting example of how the very same plant can offer entirely different treasures depending on which part is gathered and how it is used. In many warm cultures, the sight of an orange grove in full fruit became linked in the popular imagination with sunlight, vitality, and abundance, a cheerful color standing in for a cheerful feeling. These are treasured cultural traditions and symbolic beliefs, told here as exactly that rather than as scientific claims, and they add a warm human layer to a fruit already rich in genuine nutrition. Thank you for staying with this story so far. Your attention allows this simple fruit to be explored far more deeply than a quick glance ever could, and the most practical part is still ahead. A simple plate brings several of these ideas together at once. A large handful of leafy greens, roughly 60 grams, topped with the segments of half an orange and a light drizzle of olive oil, perhaps a teaspoon. This single plate offers vitamin C and hesperidin from the orange, the deeper lutein and zeaxanthin naturally found in the greens, and a touch of healthy fat that helps the body take up those fat-soluble plant pigments. Comfortable at lunch or dinner and simple enough for a modest budget and a bare handful of ingredients, it is a classic, honest example of colorful eating working quietly in favor of the eyes. Let us turn now to the practical knowledge that makes orange easy and rewarding to bring into everyday life. A good orange feels heavy for its size, a reliable sign of a juicy, well-filled fruit inside, regardless of small blemishes or roughness on the skin, which rarely affect the flesh within. A firm surface with a bright, fragrant peel and a fresh citrus scent close up are far better signs of quality than a perfectly smooth, unmarked appearance, since a naturally rough or thicker skin is simply part of many well-loved varieties. Oranges come in a wonderful variety worth knowing. Navel oranges, easy to peel and seedless, are a comfortable everyday choice, especially convenient for a quick whole fruit snack. Valencia oranges, thinner skinned and especially juicy, are often the preferred choice for fresh juice. Blood oranges, with their deep red flesh colored by a different family of plant pigments called anthocyanins, bring a slightly berry-like flavor and a beautiful dramatic color to a fresh plate or glass. Exploring these varieties turns an ordinary shopping trip into a small, pleasant adventure, and each one shares the same fundamentally cheerful, vitamin C-rich heart. Whichever variety happens to be on hand, the same honest nutrition travels along with it. A navel orange chosen for convenience, a Valencia chosen for juice, or a blood orange chosen simply for its striking color, all carry a comparable share of vitamin C and the same gentle beta-cryptoxanthin. So there is real freedom in choosing whichever one looks most appealing on a given day. In much of the world, orange also carries a gentle seasonal rhythm, ripening most abundantly through the cooler winter months in many growing regions. This timing has long felt like a small kindness of nature, offering a bright, vitamin-rich fruit precisely when fresh produce grows scarcer and daylight grows shorter. Choosing oranges in season, when markets are fullest and prices friendliest, is simply one more easy way to make this affordable habit even more so. Cleaning an orange is simple and calm. Cool running water and a gentle rub with the hands or a soft brush are usually all that is needed to freshen the surface. And this matters especially when the zest will be used, since the colorful outer layer is exactly where the peel's aromatic oils and flavonoids concentrate. Peeling by hand, working from the top in wide sections, keeps the segments intact and makes it easy to save a little of the white pith rather than removing every trace of it, since that soft layer carries a genuine share of the fruit's hesperidin. A few unhurried minutes of peeling reward you with segments ready to enjoy exactly as they are, or ready for a simple recipe. A practical habit lets nothing about this cheerful fruit go to waste. After enjoying the segments, the peel from 1 or 2 oranges can be cut into strips and left to air dry for about a week in a dry, well-ventilated spot, or dried briefly in a very low oven. Once fully dry, it keeps for several months in a sealed jar, ready at any time for a warm infusion or a pinch of grated zest stirred into a favorite dish. It is a small, thrifty habit passed down through generations of careful cooks, turning a part of the fruit most people discard into a lasting, fragrant pantry staple. The whole fruit itself stores wonderfully well, which makes it a delightfully convenient food to keep close at hand. Left at cool room temperature, oranges stay fresh and juicy for about a week, while a cool spot in the refrigerator can comfortably extend that freshness to 2 or 3 weeks or occasionally longer. Once cut, orange segments keep well in a sealed container in the refrigerator for a couple of days, ready for a quick addition to yogurt, a salad, or a simple snack whenever convenient. Such an easygoing, forgiving fruit rewards even the most modest kitchen with very little effort. Knowing how to use orange and when to enjoy it turns good intentions into an easy, lasting habit rather than one more thing to remember. A piece with breakfast, a handful of segments as a midday snack, a little zest stirred into a favorite bowl. None of it demands special timing or special equipment. And that ordinary simplicity is exactly why this fruit has stayed part of daily life across so many kitchens and so many generations. As for how much and how often, orange fits comfortably into almost any varied routine. 1 or 2 pieces of fruit a day, or their equivalent in juice, sits well within a balanced, colorful diet for most people. And enjoying orange alongside a meal rather than entirely on its own tends to feel most comfortable, gently pacing its natural sugars alongside other food. A modest, steady rhythm, rather than a large amount all at once, is usually the most enjoyable and sustainable approach, one that suits a varied routine for as long as it continues to feel easy and pleasant. People with individual dietary needs often benefit from personalized guidance about fruit and natural sugars, and that thoughtful personal care always suits a balanced life beautifully. An easy, balanced breakfast worth returning to often layers the segments of half an orange over a small bowl of plain yogurt, roughly 150 grams, with a tablespoon of chia or flax seeds sprinkled on top. This simple bowl brings together vitamin C, calcium, and a gentle source of healthy fats in one comfortable, affordable dish, ready in only a few minutes with the simplest of equipment. Comfortable most mornings and easily varied with whatever fruit is on hand, it is exactly the kind of small, repeatable habit that quietly supports a colorful, nourishing week. Variety remains the quiet secret behind all good nutrition, because the body flourishes on a colorful mix of foods rather than any single one, however wonderful that one food happens to be. Orange shines brightest as one cheerful part of a wider, colorful plate, standing happily beside deep leafy greens, vivid root vegetables, and other bright fruits, each contributing its own particular gift to the eyes and to the whole body. This gentle balance is exactly what the body loves, and it is what lets a single bright fruit feel like part of a much larger, richer story, rather than a lone solution on its own. Questions like whether fresh orange juice is good for the eyes come up often, and the honest answer sits comfortably here. Its true value works through vitamin C, hesperidin, and gentle carotenoids, flowing steadily through balanced nutrition rather than through any single dramatic effect. One final cheerful idea is especially welcome on a warm afternoon. Orange segments or fresh juice poured into small molds and frozen for a few hours make a naturally sweet, refreshing treat the whole family can enjoy. Best used within a couple of weeks from the freezer, this simple preparation keeps a good share of the fruit's natural vitamin C and its cheerful color intact, turning a wholesome fruit into something children look forward to just as eagerly as any treat from a shop. Part of orange's charm is exactly this. It fits every age and every table with equal ease. Children delight in its bright color and natural sweetness, a friendly first step toward a lifelong love of fresh fruit. Busy adults find in it a quick, portable source of real nourishment, and those who have gathered many years of wisdom appreciate its gentle familiarity and its long-honored history. One cheerful fruit, endlessly versatile, and a small moment of care that everyone can share in their own way. Building healthy habits around the eyes is, in truth, the patient work of a lifetime gathered one colorful meal and one simple choice at a time. A single glass or a single piece of fruit works gently rather than all at once, and that gentle truth is freeing rather than discouraging, because every fresh, wholesome choice adds quietly to the whole. Orange fits into that lifelong picture with remarkable ease, affordable and familiar enough to return to again and again, adding its vitamin C, its gentle carotenoids, and its cheerful hesperidin to countless meals across the years. These simple recipes for eye-supporting nutrition cost very little and ask even less, which is exactly why they last. There is real freedom in seeing orange this way, as one cheerful part of a much larger, colorful picture rather than a single solution to remember perfectly. It welcomes small, imperfect, everyday steps rather than any strict formula, asking only for a comfortable place inside a varied, affordable routine. Alongside deep leafy greens, colorful vegetables, and plenty of fresh water, a simple orange adds its own bright thread to the whole, supporting the eyes gently, one ordinary day at a time. Understanding how orange supports the body is, in the end, really quite simple. It works gradually and gently through real vitamin C, a genuine touch of provitamin A, and vessel-friendly plant compounds, rather than through any single dramatic transformation. That gentle, steady honesty is exactly what makes it such a trustworthy, lasting part of a colorful, everyday diet. So, the picture of orange for eye health comes together clearly and warmly. Its remarkable vitamin C supports the eye's own rich reserve of this nutrient and the collagen that keeps the cornea clear. Its characteristic golden pigment, beta-cryptoxanthin, offers a genuine, gentle share of provitamin A. Its hesperidin, concentrated in the peel, pith, and membrane, supports the fine blood vessels that nourish vision. And its cheerful, affordable versatility makes colorful, eye-friendly eating something to look forward to. Understood honestly, orange is a bright, everyday companion for the eyes, one thread among many in a colorful, varied diet, working best alongside the deep leafy greens and vivid vegetables it so happily complements. Thank you, sincerely, for spending this time here and for giving such a familiar fruit such thoughtful attention. A simple orange. Its color is bright as sunlight and its aroma as clean as a fresh morning, carries far more than most people ever pause to consider. Real vitamin C, gentle provitamin A, vessel-friendly plant compounds, a history stretching from ancient orchards in Asia to Renaissance orangeries to modern breakfast tables everywhere, and a cheerful place in traditions of luck and vitality across many cultures, all rest quietly inside one familiar fruit. Whether enjoyed whole, pressed into juice, blended into a smoothie, or simply peeled and shared, it remains one of the simplest, most affordable, and most honest gifts a kitchen has to offer, the eyes and the whole body alike. May every bright segment bring a little more color to your table and a little more light to your days.